Greetings, greetings. This is Body-Culinary, and let's see, maybe in Eastern Standard Time, it's about 7:41, so maybe folks are off to work, right? But I just wanted to touch in really quickly on um, what does it feel like to get into shape, and I'm speaking as someone that's been in the fitness industry, that's been a coach and trainer for many years. Um, has had a background in fitness and been um, very, very fit and walked on stage in fitness competitions. And I like to demystify fitness because it's very easy in social programming for us to get a lot of our messages and our images from uh, folks that have ideal physiques that you can see the cuts and the striations in their muscles and their six packs and in their arms. And even for folks that have achieved levels of fitness at different points in their life and looked a certain way, I'm here to tell you that if you allow yourself to become deconditioned and the more mature, um, and more that we age, which is not a negative thing. Seems like that has a negative uh, connotation these days. But when you let yourself get out of shape, it really feels, it doesn't feel so good all the time to get into shape. Now, it feels good, then it doesn't. The part that feels good is the integrity and the sense of accomplishment. And that is huge to our self esteem. And also, just at a basic level of keeping our word to ourselves, especially as women. We keep our word to everyone, to the job, and we're there for our children. And it is common knowledge that many, if not the majority of women, often don't make the time to exercise their bodies. Every year people make promises that aren't fulfilled to themselves. And that does affect us subconsciously in the back of our mind, knowing that we're not taking care of ourselves. It can have a reverse effect and lead us to unhealthy habits and self sabotage. So I'm here to tell you that the part that doesn't feel good is you can actually feel nauseous. I've had clients that used to sometimes throw up when they first work out, and they can get turned off. And without understanding some of the basic science, they'll get turned off to exercise. But do understand, with the amount of marathons, especially in the States, marathons and Tough Mudder and Spartan races and all um, these competitive things, right? Because human beings, you can be very competitive. Many people throw themselves into these competitions for a sense of accomplishment. And what you may not hear is the amount of injuries that people have because the mind is light years ahead of the body. The tendons and the ligaments often haven't been prepared from coming off of years of being deconditioned. People remember what they used to do in high school and jump right back into those activities without giving their bodies a chance to adjust, particularly the tendons and the ligaments. And if you rip and tear them, they don't have a whole lot of blood flow. And often you can injure them and they won't go back to their fully functioning capacity. And they can also be torn because people are rushing into the activity, and many of us are not hydrated, and hydrated not just from drinking, guzzling down a whole bunch of water in one shot, but a lot of the foods that we're eating and the substances that we're eating, a lot of the caffeinated drinks and the alcohol and the dried food, kind of like if you think of almost like when you feed dogs dog food, or maybe that's not the best analogy, maybe a better analogy. But if you think of the hard crunchiness, and if you think of the things that sit on the shelf, the pastas and the rices, and then we add salt to them, these things dry the body out. And when you really start exercising and you start moving all of that stuff that's in your system throughout the body, if you're dehydrated and you're clogged in your intestines, and basically your elimination system isn't functioning smoothly, you can feel nauseous. In addition to your nervous system not being used to the load, right? If you haven't been putting that kind of workload on the body. So, someone, I can tell you this happened to me in numerous times in my life where I've been extremely fit. And when I say fit condition, most people, the average person is looking at just the look, right? It's not just about muscle. You can have a lot of muscle definition. Some people genetically, and some people left over from years of exercising or habits, and you can still become deconditioned, even as a coach and a trainer. So I like to demystify things so that people don't feel it's beyond them. Because many people say, oh, you can exercise because you're a trainer, or because you live in the gym, and quite often people would think I worked out a lot, but I would have miniature workouts for minutes sometimes in between clients. And I'm always someone, as a mom, I learned a long time ago, and I made a decision many, many years ago to make sure I never have an excuse not to move my body, especially being that I have very clear in my mind the obesity and the diabetes that runs in our family. And even if you eat well, I'm here to tell you, I eat a really, really good, healthy food that I enjoy. I really enjoy my food a lot, as you'll see in many of the videos. But you can still have adipose tissue and water retention from salt and all these things. Because of salt, number one, add salt to food. And also, just if you're not moving your body, you signal your body not to move and not to burn off the fuel, right? Um, so I encourage you to move and not be discouraged if you feel kind of ill when you're exercising. Don't jump into too much too quick. Give your body a chance to exercise. Don't skip over a lot of the reconditioning and the dynamic warm-ups and functional, healthy exercises to recondition your body and actually prepare for exercise. And so, what I mean by that, the average person today is deconditioned for basic exercises in the gym, and they jump into lots of heavy weights and they wind up getting injured. Please make sure you're hydrating yourself during classes, whether they're hot yoga, something very intense, or a group class where the mind and the ego is trying to keep up with other people. Take your time, stop when you need to, take a break, and make sure that you have water on hand. Make sure you have enough if you're exercising in a very small space, which I really encourage people, especially women, to work with what you have. And I decided years ago, even though I stopped competing, I made a decision, even though I was working in a top gym, to stop using machines. And I never really used machines that much anyway. But because I'm a mom and I want people to know that if you don't have a gym, you don't have a bunch of fancy equipment, there's a lot you can do right in your own space, right? So we can utilize what we have. Remember, some women in some parts of the world don't have access to a gym and trainers and equipment. And actually, the trade-off, a lot of times, if they're doing gardening or just some manual labor, they're getting a lot of functional activity. You can actually be sitting in machines and doing very stiff, what is called sagittal plane movements, and it's not moving the body and flowing in all different directions. The body can become stiff. So we want fun in the body so the body can perform when we need it to. In an emergency, when we want to play, that we can command it, and the body and the nervous system and the muscles are on good talking terms, communication terms with each other. You can get it to do what you want, but you can feel ill sometimes. It's not so much the exercise as the body being deconditioned. So if we allow ourselves to just not do anything, the body will become deconditioned, especially being that many people have jobs where they sit down a lot. And even if you're on your feet, there are different ways that we want the body to move to keep it supple and healthy. And also that it can burn the fuel that we're putting into it. Because most of us, the average person, doesn't have an issue with getting too little protein or too little calories. We're just not asking the body to burn it because we're sitting down all day, and you can feel ill. So if you feel kind of nauseous, stop, hydrate, make sure you're getting enough air circulation if you have a small space. And do know there is a lot that you can do in a small space. So this is a very small space, and I have very practical stuff. So if you have a small space and you'd like to get fit, you're welcome to this channel. Do hit the subscribe button so that you can be notified when I'm uploading new videos, and you can come and join me in the garden and in the food prep area for some living foods jam sessions, right? Because the body is not a graveyard, and we want to be very mindful of the quality of the foods that we're putting in that will become part of our brain and our eyes and our organs and our heart and our genitals. So you want to be I invite you to be very mindful of the quality of the foods that you're putting into your system. So it's a lot you can do with a small space. I'm always coming up with different names for it. Gratefulness training, motivation for your body to move, which is a different perspective than just the gym. And although I loved the gym and working out, in some essences, there's some things that I didn't particularly care for, because sometimes the workouts can be very ego driven, and it can be healthy and unhealthy. And what I mean by that is, some people are trying to beat their body into submission, or don't respect where the body is at. And, as I explained in this case, doing too much too soon for the body, and not taking the time to just understand the body, and to exercise it safely, intense, and learn safe intensity, so you can keep the body safe. So be encouraged. Everybody can grow something. Everybody can exercise in a small space, and find a movement practice that you really enjoy. I do think many people would eat healthy, and they would move better if they had support, or if they had friends to do it with. So this is always what I've loved to do. And discovering movement and things I could do on my own were great when, as a young person, nobody ever wanted to go with me or to do things like this. So social media, if we use it positively, allows us to get education or connect to people even around the world that are doing different things. Like, I was watching a woman in China in her little big garden grow her squash, and I'm like, I'm so appreciative of social media to allow me to see women that are gardening and growing things all over the world. So everybody can grow something. I'm growing stuff in bags, y'all, just so I can show folks, definitely women like me, but all women. Some people may be the only person in their family that's embarking on making some changes, and so that they can be pleasant, and be challenging but sustainable. And many people, I think, would do it with support. What do you think? Would you think more women would exercise and eat right if they had support and had other ideas and things? So I really enjoy what I do, and I invite you to share with me. Do subscribe, hit that little bell so you'll be notified when I upload buttons. Check out the puppet series on the channel, Sister Butterfly and Sister Monkey Learn to Eat Better. Uh, Keep a nice big bottle of warm tea or water around you so you can stay hydrated. Take your time. If you need to stop during a class, your safety comes first. Your body's always communicating and speaking to you. Our ego can often make us ignore the body. And if you ignore the body, because the ego wants to keep pushing through something, you can hurt yourself. You can throw up. It doesn't feel good. So listen. Yeah, slow down in the mind and listen to your body. And I'll be sharing other things, other tips for how women can exercise with pretty much nothing, in a small space, using what you have from what you've got. So on that note, create a great day. Carry some healthy food that is pretty, and some containers that are spill proof that you can take with you. And if you can, make an effort to be quiet when you're eating, so that you can really taste the food, so we're not rushing at breakneck speed. Enjoy the food that's going into your body temple, because it's another mindset that is not about fighting and struggling, about really enjoying nourishing yourself and self-care. All right, create a great day.